Welcome back to What the Flick. I'm Matt, that's Alonso. It is coming up on Easter, so I think that's why Ready Player One is getting released, which is basically Easter eggs, the movie.
I want Easter egg, I want Easter egg.
Thank you, Bugs Bunny. Actually, well, we'll talk about this in our Ready Player One review, because I don't think if references are flying that fast and furious, Easter egg, you can consider them something hidden to find when they're just thrown at you all the time. That being said, we thought this was a good opportunity to look back on some of our favorite Easter eggs that have shown up in movies over the years. Look, there's a ton of them, right? We could do 3 or 4 hours of just listing them out, right?
And there's even the argument of things like, does Stan Lee count as an Easter egg in all of the MCU movies?
Like, I don't know that the pizza truck in the Pixar movies counts as an Easter egg anymore. Like, to me, that's the equivalent of Hitchcock showing up in each one of his movies.
Right.
Get it out of the way, you stop looking for it. But we wanted to look at some of the ones that we thought were our favorites. Some of the movies may be a little bit obscure, some of the references may be a little bit obscure. These aren't the obvious ones that everyone knows. Some of them might be, but wanted to share with them. One of them, this first one, is from The Phantom Menace. This is proof that Earth exists in the Star Wars universe, because if you look on the lower left part of the screen, you can see the aliens from E.T. in the Imperial Senate rampaging against something somebody said. I can't remember what it particularly was, but they're.
Is this during the Jar Jar speech?
This is either during this is during somebody's speech at the Senate, one of those a million Senate scenes that nobody cares about. In the Star Wars universe, those aliens have a name, which I don't remember.
The ETs do?
The ETs, yeah, they're not called ETs. I think they're Elliots. No, they're not Elliots. Anyway, so that's one of the ones that I remember seeing in the theater that I thought was pretty fun. Another one that is somewhat related to kind of the Spielberg-Lucas partnership, this next one is an example of how R2-D2 gets around. So, a lot of us know one of the other hieroglyphs. This is one that's easy to miss. This is a hieroglyph in the Well of Souls, as Indy's looking for, using in the map room. I'm sorry, not the Well of Souls. This is in the map room, and one of the hieroglyphs on the wall, if you look closely, that is Leia putting the secret plans to the Death Star in R2-D2, and that's
C-3PO
standing next to him. Yeah, so somehow the ancient Egyptians heard about that.
Well, it was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago. That's not the only hieroglyph that is representing R2-D2 and C-3PO. The next one, this is the one that a lot of people know. It's kind of that one off to the side on the pillar as they're uncovering the Ark. So I kind of want somebody to do the comic book of what was happening with R2 and 3PO. And
how did the Egyptians find out about it?
Yeah, right. Like, I kind of have this theory that maybe at least 3PO ended up in Egypt and learns the language and tells his whole story the way he tells the Ewoks.
And he's Raw or Anubis or something.
Amazing.
Yeah,
that would be amazing.
That could be fun.
That would be awesome. Okay, so but R2-D2 is a galactic traveler because he shows up in Close Encounters. This you can barely see to the left of the light. That's R2-D2 hanging off of the mothership that shows up at the end. As that scene goes, you can actually see he's got a red light where his little holo projector is. We've got another picture of what the model looked like, so you can see that that's actually R2-D2 bolted on there, presumably out there fixing things like he does at the beginning of Phantom Menace. So that's another one that I always kind of liked. This is one that it's kind of a blink and you'll miss it, and you have to really be a Peter Jackson fan to get this one. I think that's the next one, right? From King Kong. Okay, so in King Kong, in the cargo ship at the beginning, there's a box labeled Sumatran rat monkey. And this is the Peter Jackson King Kong from a few years ago. The Sumatran rat monkey was the thing that somebody brings home to New Zealand that causes zombification in Dead Alive, or what was also known as Brain Dead.
Brain Dead, yes.
Right. One of the grossest movies I think I've ever seen.
I was worried you were going to show me a Meet the Feebles shout out.
This is not that show. Yeah, so that was one that you see, and it's if you're a Peter Jackson fan, you know his movies, like. Right on, which is kind of the fun part about an Easter egg. This is so the next one that is always kind of a favorite of mine is Sark looking at the game grid from Tron, and you can see Pac-Man there. What's funny about that scene is as you watch that scene, you can actually hear the Pac-Man sounds. Like you can hear Pac-Man running around. So that's a good one. Another one that we have up here, this was one from Thor. This one I absolutely loved because I mentioned this in our review. So that's Beta Ray Bill, the horse face guy. That's Ares, the god of war, on the top right. The bottom right, if you look really closely, that is the Bi Beast. He's got two faces, kind of where his chin is, there's another row of eyes. To the left there is a character called the Night Crawler, Night-Crawler. He was a Hulk villain briefly. And underneath it, you can't quite see it in that shot, but there's another shot, a head-on shot. That's the Man Thing, the giant-sized Man Thing. One last one. This one I was particularly happy with. I didn't actually realize this till I read about it online. This last particular still. That is the Bluth family stair car at the airport in Europe for the big battle scene at close to the end of Civil War.
That is brilliant.
Yeah,
I did not know that was there either.
Yeah, so those are the stills I have. Now we have a couple stills that
I pulled a couple. So Gremlins, it's a Joe Dante movie,
right.
So it is packed with a lot of inside jokes and references about old movies. So at the beginning of the movie, when Hoyt Axton is at the Inventors Convention, he's in a phone booth and all this stuff is happening around him. So first we see toddling by from Forbidden Planet, Robbie the robot.
Okay.
Turns up on screen.
Right.
And then later, as the conversation continues, who should come by on the recumbent bike that you see on the right there, but Steven Spielberg.
Well, and the other fun thing, if you look off to the right in that screen, that's
the time machine from the Time Machine.
Right, from the old movie. Yeah, that's a fun one too.
So yeah, just a few of the many stuff the things that pop up in Gremlins. This one, not a movie I love, but it's still, I admire what they're going for here. The opening credits of Zack Snyder's Watchmen. We see the vintage Night Owl in action, and he is actually saving the lives of Thomas and Martha Wayne.
So thus there's no Batman.
Exactly, except that there is Batman on a poster that is behind Night Owl, which doesn't make a lot of sense. But if you look closely at what's coming up at the Gotham Opera House, one of the operas that they're doing is Deflator Mouse,
which is the Bat.
Which is the Bat.
Okay, one other quick one. This one you have to show the video because you have to really appreciate it. If you remember in Return of the Jedi when Chewie goes swinging out on that vine to get on top of the Scout Walker, listen to this. Let's run this clip really quick. Right, a little Tarzan yell.
Oh,
right, that's Chewie with the Tarzan yell as he swings out there. Yeah, that's a particular favorite of mine.
So this one is kind of the most meta of Easter eggs, but it always makes me laugh. When they put out a sort of special collector's You Like This Now edition of Mallrats, the Kevin Smith comedy, and when DVDs were really popular, a lot of times people would hide Easter eggs in the menus. So if you would hit the left arrow and go past the actual menu items, like somebody's face might light up and you would click on that and you'd get to see some other special scene. I mean, the Criterion Boogie Nights has a shot of the original prosthetic for Dirk Diggler. Anyway, if you tried to find the Easter egg on the Mallrats DVD, you get this.
If you're here, if you're watching this, I bet you thought this was going to be an Easter egg, something hidden, something good. Well,
perhaps some naked footage of Ben Affleck or
something, or
Shannon Doherty or
Claire Filani.
Yeah,
bottomless.
Something.
Nothing. Just us sitting here laughing at you as you think you're so clever, but nothing. There's nothing to see here. Move along. Go watch something else.
So there,
right? So that's it for Easter eggs, and I think that's it for our show today.
Yes, happy Easter, everybody.
So happy Easter. We're gonna be back with some reviews of the new movies in theaters. One more quick note on Easter eggs in this particular clip. Maybe there's an Easter egg of us, maybe, is there? Should people
look
go watch
closely.
back frame by frame and see if there's an Easter egg in this particular clip that we're posting? No, they should not. We didn't leave one. We don't want to make you waste your time. Thanks, and we'll see you later.